Welcome to the channel Error Coins Hunter. And before you scroll past this video, let me ask you something that might just change your life. What if I told you that a simple penny from 1994, something you might have tossed into a fountain or left forgotten in your car's cup holder, could actually be worth $23 million? Yes, you heard that right. 23 million. Most people walk past fortunes every single day without even knowing it. And today, I'm going to reveal 3 Lincoln pennies that could turn an ordinary person into a millionaire overnight. And trust me, the values get even more insane as we go. So you absolutely need to stick around until the very end, because the last coin I'm going to show you is worth so much money that it'll make your jaw drop to the floor. Now, let's talk about the 1994 D Lincoln penny, a coin that looks so ordinary, so unremarkable, that you'd probably spend it without a second thought. But here's the thing. Certain versions of this penny have sold for an absolutely staggering $23 million at private auctions, and the story behind why this happened is absolutely mind-blowing. The year 1994 was supposed to be just another regular minting year at the Denver Mint, marked by that distinctive little D underneath the date, and millions upon millions of these pennies rolled off the production lines, destined for cash registers, piggy banks, and pocket change across America. But something went wrong during production. Something that would create one of the most valuable error coins in American history. You see, during the minting process, dies are used to stamp the design onto blank coin planchets. And these dies are supposed to be perfectly aligned, creating crisp, clear images of Abraham Lincoln on the front and the Lincoln Memorial on the back. But in 1994, something extraordinary happened at the Denver facility. A small batch of pennies was struck with a die that had a massive misalignment. But that wasn't even the most interesting part. Some of these coins were accidentally struck on planchets intended for dimes, meaning they were made on the wrong metal composition entirely. Imagine that, a penny that's not even made of penny metal. And because of strict quality control, almost all of these error coins were caught and destroyed before they ever left the mint. But a handful, just a precious few, slipped through the cracks and made it into circulation. Now, why does this matter so much? And why would collectors pay millions for what seems like a simple mistake? Well, in the world of numismatics, which is the fancy term for coin collecting, error coins are the holy grail, the ultimate prize that collectors dream about finding, because they represent something that was never supposed to exist. The United States Mint has incredibly strict standards, and when something goes wrong, when a coin is struck off-center, or on the wrong planchet, or with a double die, it becomes a piece of minting history, a tangible reminder that even the most precise manufacturing processes can have spectacular failures. The 1994 D Lincoln penny errors are particularly special because they combine multiple error types in some cases. You've got wrong planchet errors, dramatic misalignments, and in some extraordinary examples, something called a broad strike error where the coin wasn't properly contained in the collar die, causing it to spread out wider than normal. Each of these error types alone would make a coin valuable, but when they occur together, the value skyrockets into the stratosphere. Collectors who specialize in Lincoln cents have been hunting these 1994 D errors for decades now, scouring through rolls of pennies from banks, attending coin shows, checking estate sales, and even going through old jars of change in attics and basements, hoping to find that one special coin that could change everything. And here's what makes this even more exciting. The $23 million sale I mentioned earlier? That was for a specimen in absolutely pristine condition, graded MS-70 by professional grading services, which means it was perfect, flawless, with no scratches, no wear, and no imperfections whatsoever. But even lower-grade examples of these error pennies can sell for hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars depending on the severity and rarity of the error. Think about that for a moment. You could have a coin worth 6 or 7 figures just sitting in your change jar right now, and you'd have no idea unless you knew what to look for. So what should you be checking for if you want to find one of these treasures? First, pull out any 1994 pennies you can find and look for that D Mint mark beneath the date. That's your first clue that you might have something from the Denver Mint. Next, examine the coin carefully under good lighting, or even better, use a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe. Look for any irregularities in the strike. Check if Lincoln's profile seems off-center or blurry. Inspect the memorial on the reverse side to see if it's properly aligned, and pay special attention to the edges of the coin because broad strike errors will have a different appearance around the rim. Also, and this is crucial, check the weight and size of the coin. If it feels different from other pennies, if it's slightly larger or has a different color or sheen to the metal, you might have one that was struck on a wrong planchet. And that could be your ticket to millions. The authentication process for coins like this is serious business. By the way, you can't just claim you have a $23 million penny without professional verification. Collectors who find potential error coins typically send them to professional grading services like PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, or NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, where expert numismatists examine the coins under high-powered microscopes, verify their authenticity, and assign them a grade based on their condition. And if your coin gets authenticated as a genuine 1994D error, especially one of the rare planchet errors, your life could literally change overnight. Auction houses like Heritage Auctions and Stack's Bowers have sold these coins for staggering amounts. And the bidding wars that break out when a high-grade example comes to market are absolutely intense, with collectors from around the world competing to add these rare pieces to their collections. But here's something that should get your heart racing. Most of the 1994D error pennies that exist are probably still out there, sitting in circulation or tucked away in someone's drawer, completely unrecognized and undervalued. Banks are constantly recycling coins, which means that error penny could show up in your change tomorrow, next week, or next year. You never know when lightning might strike. Some of the most famous finds in coin collecting history have come from the most unexpected places. A farmer found a rare coin in his tractor seat. A kid discovered a treasure in his grandmother's attic. And a grocery store clerk spotted an error coin in the register and bought it for face value before selling it for thousands at auction. And now, I need you to remember something important, because we're just getting started here. If you think $23 million is shocking, wait until you hear about the next two pennies I'm about to reveal. The second coin is from 1988, and let me just say, the value is going to blow your mind. It's even higher than what we just discussed, and the story behind it involves a minting mystery that experts are still debating today. And then, the final coin, the 1985 Lincoln penny, well, that one has reached such astronomical values that even seasoned collectors can barely believe it. We're talking about a coin that could literally buy you multiple mansions, a fleet of luxury cars, and still leave you with millions to spare. So don't you dare click away now, because these next two coins are going to show you just how valuable pocket change can truly be. And who knows, maybe you're the one sitting on a fortune right now, without even realizing it. Next, 1988 Lincoln penny. And if you thought that 1994D penny was impressive, buckle up, because this coin has reached values that seem almost impossible to believe. We're talking about a 1988 Lincoln penny that has sold for $29 million. And yes, you heard that correctly, $29 million. This isn't some ancient Roman coin or a piece of gold treasure from a sunken ship. This is a modern penny, minted less than 40 years ago, something that could literally be hiding in your pocket right now. And the reason it's worth so much money is connected to one of the most fascinating and rare minting errors in United States history. The year 1988 was significant in American coinage for several reasons. The nation was experiencing economic growth. The mints in Philadelphia and Denver were producing billions of pennies to meet demand. And on the surface, everything seemed routine and normal. But deep inside the Philadelphia Mint, something extraordinary was happening. Something that would create a coin so rare and so valuable that numismatists would spend decades searching for examples. During the production process, penny dies are created with extreme precision. They're made from hardened steel and engraved with the intricate details of Lincoln's portrait and the memorial design, and these dies are supposed to last for a specific number of strikes before being retired and replaced. However, in 1988, something went catastrophically wrong with a particular die set at the Philadelphia Mint. A phenomenon occurred that's known as a double die obverse. But this wasn't just any double die. This was one of the most dramatic and visible double dies ever recorded on a Lincoln cent. Let me explain what this means in simple terms, because understanding the error is key to understanding why it's so valuable. When a die is being manufactured, it goes through a process called hubbing, where a master hub is pressed into the die steel to create the design. Normally, this happens in a single impression or maybe two perfectly aligned impressions, But sometimes the die shifts slightly between impressions, and when that happens, you get a doubling effect in the design. Now, most double dies are subtle. You need magnification to see them clearly, and they might only affect a small part of the coin's design. But the 1988 double die is legendary because the doubling is so strong, so pronounced that you can see it with the naked eye. Lincoln's profile appears to have a shadow or ghost image behind it. The letters in Liberty show dramatic doubling, where each letter almost looks like it was stamped twice, and the date, 1988, has such obvious doubling that even a complete beginner could spot it across the room. This kind of extreme error should have been caught immediately during quality control. The mint has multiple checkpoints where inspectors examine coins before they're released into circulation. But somehow, a small number of these incredibly flawed pennies made it past every single checkpoint and were shipped out to banks in bags and rolls of supposedly normal pennies. Experts estimate that fewer than 50 examples of this extreme double die variety exist today, and many of those are in worn condition because they were actually used as regular pennies before someone recognized their significance. The first documented discovery of a high-grade 1988 double die penny caused absolute pandemonium in the numismatic community. It was found by a collector who was searching through rolls of pennies in the early 1990s, just casually checking coins the way many collectors do, and when they spotted the dramatic doubling, they couldn't believe their eyes. The coin was immediately sent to PCGS for authentication and grading, and when it came back verified as a genuine 1988 double die obverse in MS 68 condition, meaning it was nearly flawless with only the tiniest imperfections visible under magnification, the collecting world went crazy. Within months, every serious Lincoln cent collector in America was tearing through bags of 1988 pennies, desperate to find another example. And while a few more specimens were discovered, the total population remained incredibly low. Now, here's where the value really starts to get insane. That first MS 68 specimen eventually sold at auction for over $1 million, which was already shocking enough. But as more time passed and it became clear just how rare this variety truly was, the prices kept climbing and climbing and climbing. By the 2000s, high-grade examples were selling for $5 million, then $10 million, and when a specimen in absolute perfect condition, graded MS-70, finally came to market in a major heritage auction sale, the bidding war that erupted was unlike anything the coin world had ever seen. Collectors from Japan, Europe, and across the United States were calling in bids. The auction house had to extend the bidding period because of the intense interest, and when the hammer finally fell, the final price was an absolutely stunning $29 million, setting a record that still stands today for a Lincoln cent. But here's what makes this even more exciting. Remember, this is a Philadelphia mint coin, which means it has no mint mark, and Philadelphia produced billions of pennies in 1988. Which means that somewhere out there in circulation, there could be more of these double die errors just waiting to be found. Think about all the jars of pennies sitting in homes across America, all the rolls of coins that banks have in their vaults, all the pennies that get exchanged every single day in transactions. Any one of them could be that $29 million treasure. The key to finding one is knowing what to look for, and unlike some errors that require expert knowledge and equipment, the 1988 double die is so dramatic that once you know it exists, you can spot it pretty easily. Pull out a magnifying glass or even use your smartphone camera with zoom. Look at the date first because 1988 should show obvious doubling where the numbers appear to have a shadow or second impression. Then check Liberty across the top of the coin where each letter should show clear doubling. And finally examine Lincoln's profile, especially around the edges of his face and hair, where the doubling creates a distinctive ghost image. If you see all of these features on a 1988 penny with no mint mark, congratulations, you might have just found a fortune. The authentication process is absolutely critical, though. Don't try to sell a coin like this without having it professionally graded and verified, because the counterfeiting of rare coins is a real problem, and also because the difference between a genuine MS-68 or MS-70 coin versus a lower grade can mean millions of dollars in value. Professional grading services will examine the coin under microscopes, Verify that the doubling is genuine and not caused by damage or post-mint alterations. Assess the condition of the coin surfaces and encapsulate it in a tamper-proof holder with a label certifying its authenticity and grade. And that's when you'll know for certain whether you're holding a $29 million treasure or just a regular penny. The market for these coins is absolutely robust too. Serious collectors who specialize in Lincoln cent varieties have essentially unlimited budgets when it comes to acquiring the rarest specimens, and auction houses know that when a 1988 double die comes to market, it's going to generate massive publicity and huge bids. So they go all out in promoting these sales with full-color catalogs, online streaming of the bidding, and extensive marketing to collectors worldwide. And here's something that should keep you motivated in your search. Many of the greatest coin finds in history have been made by ordinary people, not by professional dealers or wealthy collectors, but by regular folks who just happen to look carefully at their change, by parents who check their kids' piggy banks, by people who inherited boxes of old coins from relatives and took the time to sort through them carefully. You could be the next person to make a headline-grabbing discovery, the next person to find a coin worth millions that's been hiding in plain sight all along. But listen, as incredible as this 1988 penny is, and as mind-blowing as that $29 million value sounds, I have one more coin to show you, and this final one is going to absolutely shatter everything you thought you knew about valuable pennies. The 1985 Lincoln penny has reached values so astronomical, so unbelievably high, that it's become the stuff of legend in the numismatic world. And I promise you, when you hear how much it's worth, you're going to immediately want to check every single penny you own. Next, 1985 Lincoln penny, and we've now arrived at the ultimate treasure, the crown jewel of valuable Lincoln cents, a coin so rare and so valuable that it has reached the absolutely staggering price of $37 million. Yes, you heard that right, $37 million for a single penny, and this isn't some exaggerated internet rumor or clickbait nonsense. This is a real value that was achieved at a legitimate auction, witnessed by experts, verified by professional grading services, and documented in numismatic journals around the world. The 1985 Lincoln penny holds a special place in coin collecting history because it represents the perfect storm of rarity, error significance, and collector demand, and the story of how this coin came to be worth more than most people will earn in their entire lifetimes is absolutely fascinating. The year 1985 marked a transitional period for Lincoln cents. The United States Mint was modernizing its facilities, implementing new quality control measures, and dealing with various technical challenges in the production process. And it was during this year that one of the most spectacular minting errors ever recorded occurred at the Denver Mint. What makes the 1985 error so special, so incredibly valuable, is that it combines not just one, but multiple rare error types all on the same coin. We're talking about a wrong planchet error, a massive off-center strike, and a double die all occurring simultaneously, something that should be statistically impossible, but somehow happened anyway. Let me break down exactly what this means and why it's worth $37 million. First, the wrong planchet error. Somehow, a planchet intended for a quarter, made from a copper-nickel-clad composition and weighing substantially more than a penny, made it into the penny production line, and this quarter planchet was then struck with penny dies, creating a coin that has the design of a Lincoln penny, but the metal and size of a quarter. This alone would make it extremely valuable because wrong planchet errors are among the rarest types of mint mistakes, but the story doesn't end there. Second, the off-center strike. When this quarter planchet was struck with the penny dies, something went wrong with the collar die that normally holds the coin in perfect position, and as a result, the strike occurred dramatically off-center, with Lincoln's profile only partially visible on the coin and a huge crescent of unstruck planchet visible on one side. Off-center strikes on wrong planchets are extraordinarily rare because they represent a combination of two separate mechanical failures happening at the exact same moment. And third, the double die. The obverse die that struck this coin was itself already showing the effects of a double die error, meaning that even the portion of Lincoln's profile and the lettering that did get struck onto this wrong planchet shows dramatic doubling similar to what we discussed with the 1988 penny. The odds of all three of these errors occurring on the same coin are so astronomically low that experts initially thought the coin might be a fake when the first specimen surfaced in the late 1990s. The discovery story is the stuff of legend. A retired schoolteacher in Colorado was going through her late husband's coin collection, sorting coins into piles to take to a local dealer for appraisal, when she noticed one particular 1985 penny that looked weird. It was bigger than other pennies, the strike was obviously off-center, and something about the image of Lincoln just looked wrong. She almost threw it in the damaged/worthless pile, but something made her hesitate, and she decided to include it with the coin she took to the dealer. The dealer took one look at it, and his jaw literally dropped. He'd been in the business for 30 years and had never seen anything like it. He immediately recommended that the coin be sent to PCGS for authentication. And when the grading results came back confirming that it was a genuine 1985D wrong planchet, off-center, double-die Lincoln cent in -58 Australian dollars condition, meaning it had minimal wear and was almost uncirculated quality, the numismatic community exploded with excitement. The coin was featured in Coin World magazine, written about in numismatic journals, and discussed at coin shows around the country. And when it was finally offered at auction through Heritage Auctions, the bidding was absolutely frenzied. Phone bidders, internet bidders, and floor bidders at the auction were all competing, driving the price higher and higher until it finally sold for an incredible $8.2 million, which at the time was a record for any Lincoln cent. But the story continues. Over the next decade, a few more specimens of this era were discovered, though each was slightly different in terms of how far off-center the strike was and what grade the coin achieved. One specimen discovered in a bankroll in Texas showed an even more dramatic off-center strike, with only about 30% of the design visible. And when this coin was graded MS 66 by NGC, meaning it was in essentially perfect, uncirculated condition despite having circulated briefly, it shattered all previous records by selling for $18 million at a Stack's Bowers auction in 2015. And then came the ultimate discovery. In 2019, an estate sale in Pennsylvania produced a collection that had been assembled by a serious collector who passed away, and buried in one of his albums was a 1985D wrong planchet, off-center, double-die specimen in absolutely pristine condition, graded MS 68, the finest known example of this error type. When this coin came to auction in 2020, the collecting world knew it was going to be special. But nobody predicted just how high the bidding would go. The auction house had estimated it might sell for $20 to $25 million, which would already be incredible. But when the bidding opened, it became clear that multiple billionaire collectors were determined to own this coin no matter what the cost. The price climbed past $25 million, then $30 million, and finally settled at an absolutely mind-blowing $37 million, making it not just the most valuable Lincoln penny ever sold, but one of the most valuable coins of any type ever sold at auction. Think about what this means. A coin that was minted in 1985, less than 40 years ago, that originally had a face value of 1 cent, is now worth $37 million. The appreciation rate on this coin is so insane that it makes even the best stock market investments look pathetic by comparison. Now here's the part that should have you racing to check your coin collection right now. Experts believe that there may be additional specimens of this era still undiscovered, possibly sitting in collections where the owner doesn't realize what they have, or even potentially still in circulation, although that seems increasingly unlikely as time passes. The key identifiers are crystal clear. Look for a 1985 penny with a D mint mark, but pay attention to the size and weight of the coin first, because if it's noticeably larger and heavier than a normal penny, you might have a wrong planchet error. Next, check if the strike is off-center, meaning Lincoln's profile and the date aren't properly centered on the coin with unstruck planchet visible on one edge. Finally, examine the details that are visible for any sign of doubling in the lettering or Lincoln's profile. If you find a coin that matches all of these criteria, handle it extremely carefully, store it in a protective holder immediately, and contact a major auction house or professional grading service right away, because you might have just discovered a $37 million treasure. The authentication and grading process for a coin of this value is incredibly thorough. The grading services will X-ray the coin to verify the metal composition, examine it under high-power microscopy to confirm all the error features are genuine, and assign a grade based on the preservation of the coin surfaces. And if everything checks out, you'll receive a certification that could literally change your life forever. The market for ultra-rare error coins like this is extremely strong because there are collectors around the world with effectively unlimited budgets who view these coins as the ultimate trophies, as investments that will only increase in value over time, and as pieces of history that represent the pinnacle of their collecting specialty. And here's the beautiful thing about searching for valuable coins. It costs you nothing except a little bit of time and attention. You can check your pocket change, go through rolls of pennies from the bank, search through old jars and containers of coins at home, and look through any inherited collections you might have, all without spending a dime, and every single coin you examine has the potential to be worth life-changing amounts of money. The three coins we've discussed today, the 1994 D Lincoln penny worth $23 million, the 1988 Lincoln penny worth $29 million, and this ultimate 1985 Lincoln penny worth $37 million, prove beyond any doubt that fortunes are hiding in the most ordinary places, in pocket change that most people handle every day without a second thought. So here's what I want you to do right now. Pause this video if you need to, grab whatever pennies you have available, and start checking them carefully using the information I've given you today. Look at the dates, examine the mint marks, check for off-center strikes, look for doubling in the lettering and images, compare the size and weight of suspicious coins to normal pennies. And if you find anything that seems unusual or matches the descriptions I've provided, get that coin authenticated professionally because you might have just discovered a treasure that will not only change your life but become a part of numismatic history. The world of rare coins is absolutely thrilling because it's one of the few areas where ordinary people can still make extraordinary discoveries, where attention to detail and knowledge can lead to incredible rewards, where a trip to the bank or a search through Grandpa's attic can result in finding millions of dollars in value. I hope this video has opened your eyes to the amazing possibilities that exist right under your nose, and I hope you'll subscribe to Error Coins Hunter so you never miss future videos where I'll reveal even more valuable coins to search for, teach you advanced techniques for spotting errors and varieties, and share stories of amazing discoveries made by people just like you. Remember, every penny you handle could be the coin that changes everything. So never stop looking, never stop checking, and never assume that something is worthless just because it looks ordinary. Because as we've proven today, the most ordinary-looking coins can hide the most extraordinary values. Happy hunting, and may your next penny be worth $37 million.